Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be talking through some player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 10 college football slate on Saturday. Got a big slate of Saturday games, guys, and I got some player props I do like over on Prizepicks for these games. 4 plays that we're going to share in this video and that we're going to break down. So before we do talk through these 4 plays, as always, if you guys do enjoy these Prizepicks videos, if they do help you out, make sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up, use promo code NOAH, and when you place your first lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. Just make sure that, again, that you sign up and use that code NOAH. And then I do want to give a shout out to Sleeper because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. And you guys can sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there. Get your first deposit matched up to $100. You put in $100, Sleeper will match that, and they'll give you an additional $100 to play with. And for those of you that don't know what Sleeper is, they're a DFS pick'em app, pick'em site, very similar to Prizepicks, where you're just picking more or less on player projections. You're building out your entry. You can make up to an 8-pick entry on Sleeper. You can mix and match sports, and you can win up to 100x your money. And Sleeper does offer college football, so you can take college football plays over there. They offer a lot of the major sports like NBA, NFL, MLB, college football, college basketball, NHL. So go check out Sleeper, guys. And again, make sure to download their app. Use promo code NOAH when you sign up to get your first deposit matched up to $100. But yeah, we got some props to talk about for the Week 10 college football slate. 4 plays that we're going to break down in this video. So taking a look at the first 2 plays I like, we're going to do a correlated stack here. So for Prizepicks, you can kind of play around and find different correlated stacks that won't give you a payout deduction. A lot of times, though, when you do take correlated stacks, like if you take a quarterback over fantasy and a receiver over fantasy on the same team, the payouts will lower. But you can kind of play around with it, find some ones that don't give you a payout deduction. And there's 2 plays I like that you can correlate together, that do correlate together, that don't give you a payout deduction when you play it as a 4-pick, which again, we got 4 plays to give out. So this 2-pick correlated stack that I like, we're going to talk about first. It's going to be a Cam Ward prop. We're going to take Cam Ward for more than 2.5 passing touchdowns. So basically, we're going to take Cam Ward to throw 3 touchdowns, and we're going to pair that with Xavier Restrepo over or more than 18.5 fantasy score. So when you play these 2 together, it says there's a payout deduction. It goes down to 2.75x, but once you play it as a 4-pick, you'll still get a 10x payout. So these 2 plays directly correlate. If Cam Ward throws 3 touchdowns, there's a very good chance that Xavier Restrepo is probably catching a touchdown. And I think so far this season, in all the games where Cam Ward has thrown 3 touchdowns, Xavier Restrepo has gone over this fantasy score line in every game except one, and that was the Louisville game. In the Louisville game, Xavier Restrepo, or not the Louisville game, excuse me, it was the Virginia Tech game. So in the Virginia Tech game, Cam Ward did throw 4 touchdowns, and Xavier Restrepo only had 11 fantasy score in that game. But every other game this season where Cam Ward has thrown at least 3 touchdowns, Xavier Restrepo has gone over 18.5 fantasy score. And pretty much, I think all those games, Restrepo has been able to get into the end zone as well, which just shows you there's direct correlation here. If Ward throws 3 touchdowns, very good chance that his top target, Xavier Restrepo, gets into the end zone. But Restrepo is a guy that has shown an ability to rack up yards and receptions, so he doesn't even really need a touchdown to go over this fantasy score line. Now, obviously, when you take an over on a player's fantasy score, you want them to get a touchdown because touchdowns are huge. They're worth a lot of points. They're worth 6 points for receivers. But again, Prizepicks, it's a full PPR site, so you do get a point per reception. Restrepo is a guy that has shown an ability to rack up receptions this year, has multiple games this season with 7 receptions. I mean, if he gets like 7 receptions for 120 yards, that would be 19 fantasy points. Now, obviously, that's a big number to ask for. His receiving yard line is only set at 79.5. But there's still a possibility that Cam Ward throws 3 touchdowns in this game, doesn't throw a touchdown to Restrepo, but Restrepo still gets 18.5 fantasy score. And that's why I like taking fantasy score instead of the touchdown prop. And actually, if you take out fantasy score and you take touchdown instead, the payout actually goes down. It goes down to 7x instead of 10x on a 4-pick power. So that's why I like taking fantasy score, because fantasy score, I think, more times than not, if Restrepo gets into the end zone, he's going to go over this fantasy score line. And there's definitely a possibility he could still go over this fantasy score line even if he doesn't get into the end zone. But like I said, Cam Ward, this season, when he's thrown 3 touchdowns or more, Restrepo has gone over his fantasy score line in almost all those games except for one. And we know this Miami offense, very explosive. They're a pass-heavy team. They're a team that can put up a lot of points. This week against Duke, they got a 37.5 team total. So the sports books are projecting Miami to pretty much score like 5 touchdowns here. And if Miami scores 5 touchdowns, you would think there's a good chance Cam Ward probably is going to contribute with 3 of those through the air. And I think there's a real possibility that Miami is trying to get Cam Ward touchdowns so that he can win the Heisman. Now, that might be a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you look at what he's done this season. He's thrown at least 3 touchdowns in all but 3 games. The game against Cal, he threw 2 touchdowns. Last week against Florida State, threw 0 touchdowns, which was a big surprise. I mean, it was pretty surprising to see Miami put up 36 points last week and Cam Ward have 0 touchdowns. That almost never happens. If Miami puts up anywhere near 36 points, more times than not, Cam Ward's going to have at least 2, if not 3 or more passing touchdowns. So I do like these 2 props. I think they correlate together very well. Again, if Ward throws 3 touchdowns, there's a very good chance his top target, Xavier Restrepo, gets into the end zone. If Restrepo gets into the end zone, I like his chances of going over 18.5 fantasy score because obviously he can get you yards and receptions, which will add up for points as well. So those are 2 props I like that correlate together. Going to play them first off. Next prop I like we're going to take a look at is going to be a Jaden Higgins prop. And I like Jaden Higgins for more than 5.5 receptions. So Jaden Higgins has been a top target for Rocco Beck this year. He's been the top target for this this Iowa State team. And Iowa State's offensively, they've actually looked pretty decent this year. I mean, they've been able to put up points. They've shown the ability to move the ball down the field through the air. You look at Higgins' game log this season, he's had at least 6 receptions in all but 2 games this season. One of the games he didn't get 6 receptions was a blowout win against Arkansas State where they won 52-7. And then the other one was against North Dakota. That was their first game of the season. He had 5 catches in that one. But every other game this season, Higgins has had 6 catches or more. Really good matchup here against Texas Tech and what projects to be a relatively high-scoring game. Texas Tech, we see them play in a lot of high-scoring games because they're an offense that can put up points. Defensively, they're not a good defensive team. This game does have a 56.5 total. Iowa State, pretty big team total as well. So Iowa State should have no problem moving the ball down the field in this matchup. And looking at Jaden Higgins and what he's done this season, he's been a guy that's been able to rack up receptions. He's been a guy that's been able to get a lot of targets this year. You just look at his targets this season and what he's seen in terms of volume. Last 4 games, 12, 12, 7, and 13 targets. He's had at least 10 targets in all but 3 games this season. And even one of the games where he only had 7 targets, he still got 6 receptions. He had 5 targets week 1, 5 receptions. If you're going to give me anywhere near double-digit targets for Jaden Higgins, which is what he's been averaging close to this season, he's been averaging close to double-digit targets. You give me 10, 11, 12 targets here for Higgins. I like our chances of getting 6 receptions. Like the matchup a lot here. I think this is a spot where Iowa State will be able to move the ball down the field through the air against a pretty weak Texas Tech team and a pretty weak Texas Tech defense. Again, this is a game that has a high total as well. So I do like that as our third play for Saturday. Jaden Higgins, more than 5.5 receptions. And then the third and final prop that I like is an Isaac Brown prop. And we're going to take Isaac Brown, if I can spell his name right, Isaac Brown for more than 63.5 rush yards. So like I was saying earlier, when you play these as a 4-pick power, it does pay out 10x. So even though we do have a correlated 2-man stack here, we're not getting a payout deduction. Whereas, if, for example, earlier, if you take out that Restrepo prop, and let's say you take Restrepo to score a touchdown instead of taking his fantasy score, if you take him to score a touchdown instead of fantasy score, the payout drops down to 7x. So that's the reason I like fantasy score way more than I like taking the touchdown prop, is because, again, Restrepo, you don't really get a payout deduction, and I think if he scores a touchdown, he probably goes over his fantasy, pretty much is what I'm saying. But the third and final prop, or the fourth and final prop that I do like is the Isaac Brown, more than 63.5 rush yards. And Isaac Brown, you look at what he's done this season, he's been really good on the ground, been able to get a lot of carries, a lot of volume. You look at what he's done last 5 games, for what it's worth, he's over this line in 4 out of his last 5. The reason I think we are getting such a low line here on Isaac Brown is due to the matchup against Clemson. Clemson, very good team, very good defense, very good run defense. But even with that being the case, we can probably still project Isaac Brown for 14, 15 carries here. You look at what he's done ever since Maurice Turner went down and ever since Isaac Brown has taken over as the starting running back. He's had 13, 10, 20, 9, and 18 carries over their last 5 games. So he's been getting a ton of volume, and he's been really efficient on the ground this year. Now, will his efficiency be good against Clemson? That's kind of to be determined. but the dude is averaging 7.5 yards per carry this year. Last week against Boston College, he averaged 4.7 yards per carry, which is a bad game for him. Against Miami, he averaged over 6 yards per carry. He just only got 9 carries. That's the concern, I think, is that can Louisville keep this game close enough that like they're not going to be just playing from behind the entire game? As long as Louisville can keep it within like 1 or 2 touchdowns, I think we're going to see them, be able to, continue to run the ball. I do worry about potentially Clemson getting a really big lead and then, Louisville having to abandon the run. But as long as they keep this game remotely competitive within a couple scores, they should still be able to use the run game. And when they've run the ball this season, they've had a lot of success, especially when Isaac Brown has been the guy getting those carries. He's been super, super efficient on the ground this year. And I know, again, the matchup is a bit tough here, but if you're going to give me 13, 14, 15 carries for Isaac Brown, even in a tougher matchup, I like our chances of him getting 64 rush yards, especially with how efficient he has been on the ground this season. And ever since, again, Maurice Turner went down, Isaac Brown's been the guy getting a lot of the carries, a lot of the snaps. Last week he played 59 snaps against Boston College. The game against Miami, he only played 37 snaps. I think he did lose some playing time in that game. I want to say he had a fumble in that game that lost him some playing time. But again, 59 snaps last week against Boston College, 43 against Virginia, 57 against SMU. So the playing time's been there, the volume's been there on the ground, the efficiency's been really good for Isaac Brown. Matchup, again, might be a little bit tougher, but we're getting a lower line on Isaac Brown because of the matchup. Any other matchup, Brown's rush yards prop would not be 63.5, but because they're facing Clemson, we're getting this line at 63.5. I'll still take the over here, though. This is a guy that, again, has been really good on the ground this year, and I think can still have success even against this Clemson team. So that's what we're going to roll with as our 4 props for Saturday, guys. We're going to take a correlated stack of Cam Ward for more than 2.5 passing touchdowns. Pair that with Xavier Restrepo for more than 18.5 fantasy score. And then we're going to take Jaden Higgins for more than 5.5 receptions and Isaac Brown for more than 63.5 rush yards. 4 plays for Saturday. Hopefully you guys, if you do tail, hopefully we can hit these 4 plays and we can make some money tonight. But as always, guys, appreciate you watching. Hit that like button down below if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, guys, if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, be sure to sign up for Prizepicks. Use promo code NOAH. And when you place your first lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account when you do place your first lineup on Prizepicks. But that's all I got. Good luck, guys. We'll see you in the next video.